Today I'm going to talk to you about something that I'm very passionate about, something that I really love. It's about basketball. Basketball is something that has been in my life since I was a little kid. My dad played basketball all while growing up against his brothers. He raised me playing basketball to go against my brothers and against him. And something that will always stick with me and with every person that played basketball, watches basketball, is passionate about basketball, is the NBA GOAT debate. It's a given. It's going to stick with you. It's going to come up in every conversation you have when you're discussing basketball. Is who is your NBA GOAT? Your greatest of all time. When comparing the NBA greatest of all time, there's really only two players that you can talk about, and that's Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Every other player is pretty much subjective and just wrong. Obviously, you're going to have your diehard Kobe fans and your diehard... That's pretty much it, just Kobe. I've met a few people who are Wilt Chamberlain fans and they'll die on that hill, but that's pretty much it. As far as tiers go of basketball, I think there's just one tier. There's tier one, and that is Michael Jordan and LeBron James, and nobody else is in that tier. That is your top productive basketball crew, is just Michael Jordan and LeBron James. But when going through and unpacking the GOAT debate, you kind of have to break down a few of what makes them the GOAT. Pretty recently, ever since LeBron broke the all-time scoring record, a lot of people have been saying that he is now the greatest of all time. But LeBron's career accolade in breaking the all-time scoring record is more about his longevity than his greatness. So let's unpack this. There's a few things that I really want to talk about. There's stats, awards, and their impact on the game. Let's go over stats. I've made here a little list of career numbers. Okay, we're going to go over a few stats. We're going to go over the basic stats of the total amount they've had, the basic stats of the average that they've achieved over the years, and then advanced stats that I really love. So the first one here is their total amount. And so you can see here that I've made points, rebounds, assists, steals, blocks, triple doubles, field goal percentage, 3-point percentage, free throw percentage. When looking at their total amount, you can see that LeBron is very dominant here. Again, that's because we will never see a player like LeBron James doing what he is doing at the level that he is doing it at the age that he is doing it at. He's 39 years old and still playing like a top 10 player in the NBA. We have never, ever, ever seen that. Ever. We never, ever will. What he did is insane. But when looking at their basic stats when comparison to their averages, you can see that it's very divided here. Michael Jordan has the all-time most points per game ever, above Wilt Chamberlain, above Michael Jordan, or above LeBron James, above Karl Malone, above Kobe Bryant. The greatest scorers in the entire world, Michael Jordan is number one talking about points per game. So very divided. But basic stats are great. They don't tell the whole picture. There's something that is called advanced stats that really tell a much deeper picture that I want to talk about. Advanced stats are PER, which is like your overall efficiency, win shares per 48, which is about basically how much you contribute to wins, offensive box plus minus, defensive box plus minus, how good you are on offense, how good you are on defense, value over replacement, and true shooting percentage. And you can see that Michael Jordan tops LeBron in all but one. Advanced stats matter more to me and to real basketball fans more than basic stats because they tell a deeper picture that the basic stats just can't tell you. But what really matters when talking about the GOAT debate is accolades. That really is what matters the most. Championships, MVPs, finals MVPs, all NBA, all defense, defensive player of the year. So you can see in the six categories that really matter: championships, finals, MVPs, MVP, defensive player of the year, all NBA, all defense. Michael Jordan beats LeBron all except for one, which is the all NBA, which is again just a tribute to LeBron's longevity, which I'm not going to knock or discredit in the slightest because, like I said before, we never have seen a player like LeBron, and we never will. But Michael Jordan, I heard this analogy once, where Michael Jordan is like a candle that's at 100%. But doesn't last as long, and LeBron is like a candle at 85%, but lasts much longer. That really is what we're seeing with these two players, that Michael Jordan had a much higher peak. His peak was much better than LeBron's, but LeBron's longevity is much greater than Michael Jordan's. But the last thing I want to talk about, so we've talked about stats, we've talked about accolades. Now I want to talk about their impact on the game. Back in the 90s, Gatorade and Nike, both newer companies in the 80s and 90s, wanted to get a player, an athlete, to really help their company take off. And who did they take? Michael Jordan. There's a movie that's just coming out about Michael Jordan right now called Air, where it talks about Nike pursuing after Michael Jordan, how they were about to go bankrupt once they got Michael Jordan and made a shoe brand after him. Their company is now one of the most successful on the entire planet because of Michael Jordan. His impact and his game was so much more coveted than LeBron's ever was and ever will be. If I'm being 100% honest, when talking about most exciting players in today's league, I'm going with Steph Curry, not with LeBron James. The most exciting player that I've ever seen play is Michael Jordan. I never got to see him play live, but in highlights and when my dad would tell me stories about him, he was the most exciting player on the planet. The most exciting player for me when growing up, in the age that I grew up, was Steph Curry. Seeing him get to where he was, people shoot it saying Curry. People shot it saying MJ, Kobe. You never hear it say LeBron. I'm not going to bash on LeBron. I'm not going to try to persuade you that he's not a good basketball player. LeBron is the second greatest basketball player of all time, in my opinion. But when talking about the GOAT debate, there's no one that you can talk about more than Michael Jordan. His clutch factor, his impact on the game, how people loved him. He was adored by everyone. Everyone wanted to be like Mike. That was literally Gatorade's slogan, be like Mike. There's no one that's better than the man himself, His Airness.